March 1945, Cologne outskirts. German tank commander Klaus Brenner adjusts his periscope, watching an American tank approach at 800 meters. His Tiger Eye cost 300,000 Reichsmarks, enough to buy 47 German houses. The American tank approaching costs $83,000. The equation had flipped. Brenner just doesn't know it yet. At 19 years old, Brenner commands more firepower than entire Wehrmacht companies possessed in 1939. His 80mm gun has destroyed 23 Allied tanks across 847 combat days. Each tungsten core shell in his ammunition rack costs 127 Reichsmarks, more than his father earned monthly before the war. When Brenner pulls that trigger, he fires the equivalent of a German worker's monthly paycheck. But what Brenner doesn't see changes everything. This isn't a Sherman. The hull stretches 20% longer than any M4 in Wehrmacht recognition manuals. The turret sits positioned 40% further aft than standard American specifications. Most crucially, that gun barrel extends 8 meters beyond any American tank design German intelligence has catalogued. This is America's best-kept secret rolling toward German positions at 25 kilometers per hour. The M26 Pershing, Project T-26. 2 years of Detroit engineering focused on a single devastating goal. Easy target gunner, load armor piercing. Brenner's voice carries 3 years of proven technological superiority. His Tiger's 100mm frontal armor has deflected dozens of American rounds. No Sherman gun penetrates German steel beyond 400 meters. The mathematics are tested, proven, absolute. But what happens in the next 30 seconds rewrites the mathematics of armored warfare. At 27:43, the American fires. The 90mm M3 gun launches a 24-pound armor-piercing projectile at 2,800 feet per second. Transit time to target, 1.1 seconds. The shell punches through Brenner's frontal armor like tissue paper, travels completely through the fighting compartment, and exits via the engine bay. Total penetration, 100mm of hardened steel plus 40mm of structural components. Klaus Brenner dies instantly, never knowing he faced the weapon that would break German tank doctrine in 72 hours. The equation had flipped, and German armor supremacy dies with Klaus Brenner. But what the Germans don't know will kill 4,200 more of them in the next 6 weeks. Stay with me. In 15 minutes, you'll hear the exact German radio transmission that revealed Wehrmacht panic, spreading faster than American tank columns. February 26, 1945, Detroit Tank Arsenal, 6:47 a.m. The morning shift completes M26 Pershing, number 1147. Total construction time from raw steel to finished tank, 18 hours 23 minutes. Meanwhile, at Henschel Tank Works in Kassel, German workers begin day 144 of constructing Tiger I, number 1346. The equation had flipped. American mass production meets German craftsmanship, and Detroit mathematics proved devastating. Here's what breaks German hearts before the first shot is fired. Detroit Tank Arsenal produces 8 complete M26 Pershings for every single Tiger that limps out of bombed German factories. American industrial capacity operates on mathematical principles German planners cannot comprehend. But then something even more devastating happens. Strategic shipping priorities limit M26 deployment to Europe. Only 310 Pershing tanks reach combat zones before war's end. The other 2,002 completed M26 tanks sit in Kansas depots, waiting for Liberty ship space that military planners deny them. American abundance creates artificial scarcity, while German desperation creates actual shortage. The first M26 Pershing rolls off transport ship Super Chief at Antwerp Harbor. Weight, 46 tons. Cost, 83,000 American dollars. German spotters, watching through Zeiss binoculars, worth more than most families earn annually, catalogue the new arrival as Sherman variant, extended configuration. Intelligence officers file routine reports describing modified M4 chassis with elongated hull specifications. The misidentification becomes Germany's most expensive intelligence failure of 1945. But what changes everything is American industrial mathematics that German economists cannot fathom. U.S. Steel Corporation produces 847 pounds of finished armor plate every single hour. German steel mills, devastated by 8th Air Force strategic bombing campaigns, manage 203 pounds hourly across all remaining functional facilities. American metallurgical consistency maintains manufacturing tolerances within 2% variance. German armor quality fluctuates between 8% and 15% tolerance due to substitute alloys and production shortcuts necessitated by material shortages. The equation had flipped. Industrial consistency defeats wartime desperation when desperation cannot maintain quality standards. Staff Sergeant Robert Early commands the lead M26 of 3rd Armored Division's Spearhead Advance. His tank represents more investment than 5 Sherman tanks combined. The 90mm main gun fires ammunition worth $47 per round, equivalent to 6 weeks of German soldiers' basic pay. Early's crew doesn't realize they're making history with every trigger pull. But what Early's crew represents terrifies German logistics beyond comprehension. American abundance creates tactical flexibility. German scarcity cannot match. Early's monthly ammunition allocation includes 200 rounds of 90mm armor-piercing shells. German Tiger crews receive 40 rounds monthly allocation when supply convoys successfully navigate Allied air interdiction campaigns. Early fires ranging shots to verify gun alignment and atmospheric corrections. German crews must calculate every single shot's absolute necessity against mathematical survival requirements. The equation had flipped, and abundance rewrites fundamental rules of armored warfare. March 1st, Allied signals intelligence intercepts German confusion in real time. Army Group B transmission, decoded within 40 minutes. American forces deploying modified Sherman variants with unidentified main armament systems. Gun barrel length exceeds M4 standard specifications by approximately 40%. Recommend immediate field analysis of captured examples for technical intelligence assessment. But what the Germans don't realize makes their situation hopeless from the start. No M26 Pershing examples will be captured for analysis. Every single American heavy tank entering combat survives its first engagement. German tank crews die before they understand what technology killed them. Coming up, the moment German tungsten meets American steel, and physics chooses sides with devastating finality. American ordnance testing at Aberdeen Proving Ground, results classified until 1975. Reveals the complete scope of German technological disadvantage. The M26's 90mm M3 gun achieves armor penetration of 180mm homogeneous steel plate at 1,000 meters range. German Tiger SATU frontal protection measures 100mm maximum thickness. Tiger II frontal armor reaches 150mm at its thickest point. Simple mathematical subtraction creates American killing zones, extending 400 meters beyond the maximum effective range of German weapon systems. The equation had flipped. Americans can destroy any German tank at distances where German guns cannot touch American frontal armor. March 6th, Elsdorf, 11:27 hours. Early's M26 Pershing crests Hill 117, immediately facing German armored resistance at 1,200 meters range. 2 Panther tanks worth 117,000 Reichsmarks each. 1 Tiger II worth 321,000 Reichsmarks. Total German armor investment visible in Early's gun sight, 555,000 Reichsmarks. Early's single American tank cost $83,000 to manufacture. German tank crews open fire first, confident in proven range advantages that sustained defensive operations since Normandy. Their 88mm shells arc through morning air and impact German soil 60 meters short of American positions. Physics doesn't respect national pride, currency exchange rates, or 3 years of tactical doctrine. Target lead Panther, front slope angle, range 1200. On the way. Early's gunner centers crosshairs on the German tank's turret front. The equation had flipped, and German range advantage becomes American killing zone. Early's 90mm armor-piercing round covers 1,200 meters distance in exactly 1.4 seconds. The projectile penetrates the Panther's gun mantle at dead center, passes completely through ammunition storage compartments, and exits via the engine bay. The German tank explodes instantly in a fireball, visible from 3 kilometers distance. Casualty assessment: 3 crew members killed instantly, 2 evacuated with critical burns covering 60% of body surface. Survival probability for critically burned tank crews in March 1945, 23%. Tiger II Commander Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, watching through his periscope optics, immediately transmits an emergency radio message that Allied signals intelligence operators intercept and decode within 23 minutes. American tank destroyed Panther at tactically impossible range using unknown weapon system. Request immediate identification protocols and revise tactical engagement guidance. But what Weber doesn't know makes his own death inevitable within 72 hours. That single radio transmission reaches 847 individual German tank units across the Western Front within 48 hours. The psychological impact spreads through Wehrmacht armored formations faster than tactical countermeasures can be developed or implemented. Tank crews, who dominated European battlefields for 38 consecutive months, suddenly face American armor that violates every fundamental assumption underlying German tank doctrine. The equation had flipped, and German confidence collapses along with German steel. Then everything changes across the entire German war machine. March 8th, Wehrmacht emergency. Technical Bulletin 847G describes an American weapon system that renders 3 years of German tank crew training obsolete overnight. Lieutenant Hans Müller receives the classified briefing at his Remagen sector defensive position. Age: 17 years, 4 months. Total combat experience: 12 days. His Tiger I represents 4,800 man-hours of German precision engineering and traditional European craftsmanship. The American tank approaching Ludendorff Bridge represents 3,200 man-hours of Detroit assembly line mass production. But what Muller doesn't know makes armed resistance mathematically impossible. His Tiger I mounts an 88mm KWK-36 gun system firing tungsten core anti-tank ammunition that cost 127 Reichsmarks per individual shell. Total ammunition rack monetary value: 2,032 Reichsmarks. Müller's family earned 1,800 Reichsmarks during the entire calendar year 1944. He commands a fortune in tungsten core penetrators that cannot save his life. The American M26 approaching his position fires standard steel armor-piercing ammunition costing $47 per round. Detroit ammunition factories produce 12,000 complete 90mm shells daily. German tungsten supplies, systematically destroyed by Allied strategic bombing campaigns, limit total Wehrmacht daily production to 800 tungsten core rounds for all German armored forces combined. The equation had flipped. American industrial abundance meets German resource scarcity, ratio 15:1 in Detroit's favor. March 12th, 14:30 hours. Müller positions his Tiger in carefully prepared hull-down defensive position, watching American armored columns cross the captured Ludendorff Bridge. Standard Wehrmacht engagement doctrine requires destroying enemy bridge traffic at maximum effective range of 800 meters. Then he spots the target that changes everything about armored warfare. Hull configuration extending 20% longer than any Sherman variant in German recognition manuals. Turret positioned 40% further aft than M4 design specifications. Gun barrel length exceeding American manufacturing standards by 1.8 meters. Muller reaches for his radio handset with hands that tremble despite his conscious efforts at control. Control. This is Tiger 2-7, observing unknown American armor-type crossing bridge structure, requesting immediate engagement authorization and tactical identification guidance. Tiger 2-7, engage all enemy targets immediately. Bridge interdiction remains priority mission. But what Mueller doesn't know about American armor technology guarantees his death. His gunner ranges 600 meters to the bridge approach structure, mathematically perfect killing distance for engaging standard Sherman armor with 88mm tungsten core ammunition. The Panzergranit 40 tungsten core penetrator should achieve complete perforation of any known American tank armor at this optimal range. Should doesn't. The German shell strikes the M26's frontal armor plate at optimal 90-degree angle and maximum velocity. The tungsten penetrator core meets 102 millimeters of American homogeneous steel armor, backed by an additional 25 meters of structural plating. Physics takes complete control of the engagement. The German round mushrooms on impact, fragments into dozens of pieces, and fails catastrophically to achieve any meaningful penetration. Mueller stares through his periscope optics, watching the completely undamaged American Pershing rotate its turret toward his defensive position. 3 years of German technological superiority die in that single moment of recognition. Impossible, Mueller whispers into his radio microphone. Direct hit achieved at 600 meters range, 0 armor penetration. Request immediate technical identification of enemy armor type and composition. The equation had flipped, and German tungsten cannot overcome American metallurgical engineering. The M26 Pershing's 90mm gun responds to Muller's challenge at exactly 14:32:17. Transit time for the American armor-piercing round, 0.85 seconds. The projectile penetrates Mueller's Tiger frontal armor, traverses the entire fighting compartment, and exits through the engine bay. Hans Mueller dies, learning that expensive tungsten core ammunition cannot overcome superior armor protection schemes. But what happens next breaks Wehrmacht morale across the entire Western Front. Coming up, the intercepted German radio transmission that revealed tank crews calculating mathematical death probability before engaging American armor. March 15th, Allied signals intelligence monitoring stations record the most desperate German military communication intercepted during the entire war. Multiple Wehrmacht radio frequencies carry identical emergency transmissions, broadcasting every 6 hours. Heavy American tank units demonstrating complete immunity to standard Wehrmacht anti-tank ammunition at all combat engagement ranges. Unknown American armor systems achieving armor penetration at distances exceeding 200 meters. All armored units avoid individual engagement with American M26 tank units unless numerical superiority confirmed at minimum 3.1 ratio. These emergency messages broadcast across German military radio networks every 6 hours for the next 72 hours. Tank crews who ruled European battlefields since the 1940 French campaign received direct orders to avoid combat with American armor. The equation had flipped, and Wehrmacht doctrine becomes Wehrmacht surrender manual. Then the unthinkable becomes standard operating procedure. March 17th, German tank training school at Paderborn receives emergency operational directive from Oberkommando der Wehrmacht headquarters. Subject: revised tactical doctrine for American M26 combat encounters. The classified bulletin systematically overturns 38 months of established Wehrmacht armor doctrine with language that resembles detailed surrender instructions more than tactical guidance. Training instructor Major Friedrich Kessler reads the devastating directive to his classroom of replacement tank commanders, 17-year-old boys who learned armored warfare principles from Heinz Guderian's tactical memoirs, and now must memorize retreat procedures their instructors never imagined teaching. The American M26 heavy tank outranges all German armored weapon systems by a minimum of 400 meters, Kessler explains to faces showing growing dismay and comprehension. Direct engagement at standard Wehrmacht combat distances favors enemy forces by documented kill ratios exceeding 6.1 against German armor. Individual crew survival depends entirely on terrain exploitation, advanced concealment tactics, and coordinated infantry support operations. One student raises his hand, voice barely audible above the classroom heating system. "Sir, what happened to German technological superiority that we've been taught about?" Kessler's facial expression hardens into something resembling carved stone. "It encountered American industrial mathematics, son. Detroit factories produced 20 complete tanks for every single unit we managed to finish. And their individual tank performance exceeds German capabilities in every measurable military category. But what these teenage boys don't know makes their upcoming deployment essentially a death sentence with uniforms." The equation had flipped. German military training becomes funeral preparation, disguised as tactical education. Here's the statistical reality that German high command cannot publish in any official military communication. Average age of German tank commanders, March 1945, 18. 7 years. Average total combat experience, 23 days. Mathematical survival probability when engaging American M26 units, 27%. American tank crew demographics present devastating contrasts. Average age 24.3 years. Average combat experience 187 days. Survival probability in armored engagements 73%. German teenagers commanding expensive machinery face American veterans equipped with superior technology and supported by unlimited industrial resources. Then German psychology collapses along with German machinery. Wehrmacht medical evaluation reports, classified until 1974, document systematic psychological breakdown among German tank crews exposed to M26 combat encounters. Dr. Heinrich Zimmer interviews tank commanders evacuated from Western Front medical facilities. Interview subjects display classic clinical symptoms of learned helplessness when discussing American M26 combat encounters. Confidence levels have deteriorated to percentages comparable with infantry forces facing close air support attacks without any anti-aircraft protection coverage. Multiple interview subjects categorically refuse return to frontline combat duty, citing equipment technological inadequacy rather than personal cowardice or moral failure. The equation had flipped, systematically destroying German minds along with German machines. Staff Sergeant Mike Torres commands his M26 Pershing from defensive positions near Cologne, observing fundamental changes in German tactical behavior that military analysts will study for decades after the war ends. German armor tactics have reversed completely from 6 months ago. Previously, they approached American positions with absolute confidence in their superior guns and armor protection. Current German behavior demonstrates extended hesitation, prolonged observation periods, and frequent tactical withdrawal without engagement attempts when they successfully identify our specific tank type. But what German radio communications reveal makes their desperation mathematically transparent. German radio intercepts provide documented evidence of Wehrmacht tactical collapse. March 22nd transmission from Army Group B Communications Center. American Heavy Tank Company advancing along grid reference coordinates 347891. Do not initiate direct fire engagement without confirmed artillery support coordination. Repeat operational instruction. Avoid individual direct combat with American M26 units unless overwhelming numerical tactical advantage has been verified and confirmed. And the emergency message broadcasts simultaneously across 3 separate German military radio frequency networks. Every single Wehrmacht tank crew operating in the tactical sector receives identical engagement warnings. For a military organization that constructed its international reputation on aggressive armored tactics and technological superiority, defensive radio communications represent complete ideological collapse, equivalent to tactical military defeat. The equation had flipped permanently. German aggressive doctrine becomes German avoidance strategy. Lieutenant Heinrich Weber commands the sole remaining operational Panther tank in his entire company, positioned behind industrial ruins overlooking Cologne's eastern approaches. Through optical equipment that costs more than the average German citizen's total annual wages, he observes American armored reconnaissance operations. 3 Sherman tanks conducting standard probing maneuvers, plus something else entirely different. Extended hull configuration beyond any American design in Wehrmacht identification manuals. Modified turret placement positioned significantly further aft than M4 specifications. Gun barrel length specifications that exceed American manufacturing parameters by measurements impossible to ignore. M26 Pershing. Weber's recent combat training provides immediate recognition and tactical assessment. But what Weber knows from previous combat experience makes direct engagement mathematically equivalent to suicide. His company's documented previous encounters with American M26 heavy tanks produced loss ratios of 5.7:1 against German armored forces. Weber conducts rapid tactical inventory of available military assets. 1 operational Panther tank, fuel supplies sufficient for 40 kilometers maximum operation, 12 armor-piercing rounds remaining in ammunition storage. American opposing force strength assessment, 4 tanks, including 1 confirmed M26 Pershing. Mathematical tactical analysis suggests immediate strategic withdrawal from current defensive positions. Driver, initiate reverse movement slowly and steadily. We are repositioning to secondary, prepared defensive coordinates according to operational protocol. His radio operator immediately queries the movement. Panther 7. Control headquarters requests detailed explanation for current positional movement. Control, this is Panther 7, currently implementing standard M26 engagement avoidance protocols per standing operational orders, executing tactical withdrawal to prepared secondary positions without direct combat engagement. No shame accompanies Weber's radio transmission. No detailed explanations required beyond tactical military necessity. By March 1945, German tank crews understand completely that individual survival depends entirely on acknowledging technological inferiority and accepting revised tactical doctrine. The M26 Pershing has systematically rewritten fundamental mathematical equations governing armored combat operations. The equation had flipped permanently, and tactical adaptation means accepting total American technological supremacy. But what happens next proves the psychological transformation is complete and irreversible. March 24th, German military intelligence produces comprehensive assessment that military historians debate and analyze for the next 5 decades. The American M26 heavy tank represents not evolutionary technological development beyond Sherman design capabilities, but revolutionary advancement in armored warfare that renders existing German tank doctrine completely and permanently obsolete. Statistical combat analysis provides overwhelming support for the intelligence assessment conclusion. German tank losses in documented M26 combat encounters average 4.2 tanks destroyed per individual engagement. American tank losses when engaging German armored forces average 0.3 tanks per combat contact. Mathematical kill ratios approach 14.1, consistently favoring American armored forces. Directly comparable statistical analysis for Sherman tank versus German armor encounters historically favor Wehrmacht forces by ratios of 2.1.1. The M26 Pershing has completely and mathematically reversed tactical equations that sustained German defensive military operations since the Normandy invasion landings. The equation had flipped, and combat statistics provide mathematical proof of German technological doom. But numerical analysis cannot capture the psychological transformation occurring within individual German armored units across all operational sectors. Then the contrast between American abundance and German desperation becomes visible in real-time combat operations. American tank crews receive monthly ammunition allocations of 200 rounds per tank. German crews receive 40 rounds monthly when supply convoys successfully survive Allied air interdiction attacks. Torres observes this disparity during combat operations near Cologne. We routinely fired ranging shots for perfect target placement and atmospheric correction. German tank crews fired once, maybe twice maximum, then immediately attempted tactical relocation. They simply could not afford to waste ammunition on preliminary ranging shots. German radio communications reveal the scope of resource crisis beyond American comprehension. March 25th transmission, intercepted by Allied monitoring stations, request immediate priority ammunition resupply for Tiger Tank Company. Current operational stock, 23 rounds 88mm armor-piercing, 11 rounds high-explosive. Cannot maintain defensive operations beyond 48 hours without emergency resupply priority. Allied signals intelligence records the German response transmission 40 minutes later. Ammunition supply convoy destroyed by air attack at grid reference 423-167. No ammunition resupply available for minimum 96 hours duration. Conserve remaining ammunition for critical target engagement only. The equation had flipped definitively. American abundance defeats German precision when German precision cannot achieve armor penetration against American protection. Coming up, the moment when a 300,000 Reichsmark German Tiger tank runs away from an $83,000 American tank without firing a single shot. Detroit steel production, 847 pounds per hour. German steel mills, 203 pounds hourly across all remaining functional facilities. American consistency, 2% manufacturing tolerance. German variance, 15% tolerance due to wartime production shortcuts. The equation had flipped. But what happens next breaks German industrial capacity completely. Americans dedicate 12% of total steel production for tank manufacturing. Germans must allocate 34% of available steel resources for armored vehicle production. Superior American tanks require smaller percentage of total industrial capacity. Final encounter, March 26th, 08:15 hours. Identical geographical coordinates, where Klaus Brenner died 17 days earlier in his Tiger Pro. Panzer Lieutenant Erich Hartmann adjusts his periscope equipment, studying approaching American armored columns through optical systems that represent the absolute pinnacle of German precision manufacturing technology. His Tiger Eye contains 26,147 individually machined mechanical components assembled by European craftsmen whose grandfathers constructed the finest precision mechanical devices on the continent. The approaching American tank embodies Detroit mass production industrial philosophy, stamped steel components, welded construction techniques, assembly line manufacturing methods that German engineers traditionally dismissed as inferior to European craftsmanship standards. But superior craftsmanship cannot overcome superior industrial mathematics. Hartmann's military training provides immediate target identification. M26 Pershing heavy tank, 90mm main gun armament, frontal armor completely immune to German 88mm penetration beyond 600 meters range, capable of destroying any German heavy tank at ranges exceeding 1,200 meters. Individual German tank survival probability in direct combat, 11.3%. 3 weeks ago, Klaus Brenner engaged American armored targets at these exact coordinates with absolute confidence in proven technological superiority. Today, Wehrmacht standing operational orders specifically prohibit individual German tank engagement with American M26 units unless tactical numerical advantage reaches confirmed minimum 3.1 ratio. But what Hartmann knows from statistical analysis changes every tactical calculation completely. This particular Tiger has successfully survived 23 separate combat engagements against Allied armored forces over 14 months of continuous operational service. Mathematical statistical analysis suggests 11% survival probability versus American M26 Pershing heavy tank. Eric Hartmann possesses 89% mathematical probability of death within the next 120 seconds if he chooses direct combat engagement. The equation had flipped permanently, and individual survival requires accepting mathematical reality over military tradition and personal honor. Hartmann's radio transmission reaches division headquarters at exactly 08:17:33. Control, this is Tiger 1-4, confirmed M26 heavy tank contact at 800 meters range, requesting immediate tactical withdrawal authorization per current standing engagement protocols. Tiger 1-4, tactical withdrawal authorization granted immediately. Execute repositioning to prepare defensive coordinates without delay. The 300,000 Reichsmark Tiger 1 tank reverses into concealment without firing a single shot. No tungsten core ammunition expended, no direct combat attempted, no tactical resistance offered. The $83,000 American M26 Pershing advances completely unopposed across terrain that German armored forces defended with absolute determination for 38 consecutive months of warfare. The equation had flipped completely, permanently, and irreversibly across all mathematical calculations. German tank crews, who dominated European battlefields through technological superiority and aggressive tactical doctrine, now systematically yield territorial ground to avoid combat with American armored forces. The transformation represents total completion of tactical evolution. Wehrmacht tank doctrine collapses not through battlefield military defeat, but through mathematical impossibility of successful engagement. The equation had flipped forever. German engineering craftsmanship encountered American production mathematics. Traditional precision met industrial abundance. Military tradition confronted statistical probability. Detroit manufacturing won every single mathematical calculation. Superior American abundance overcame superior German precision engineering. American steel conquered European battlefields not through individual tank technological superiority, but through industrial mathematical equations that German manufacturing capacity could never match or overcome. March 1945 becomes the historical month when German tank crews learned to calculate mathematical death probability before engaging American armored forces. The month when Wehrmacht tactical doctrine became Wehrmacht funeral procedure, disguised as military strategy. The equation had flipped permanently and completely. American industrial mathematics had systematically defeated German engineering excellence. The hunters became the hunted, and the mathematical equation would never flip back to German advantage. FIM.